Hello there, it's Yvonne from Women's Fitness Adventures. So nice to have you with me this afternoon. So I have a lot of things to talk about today. It's all going to just be jumping all over the shop, all hiking related, all life related, all transition related, I suppose. So as not everyone knows. So if you are new here, welcome. I'm Yvonne. I'm the founder and CEO of Women's Fitness Adventures. I have been teaching, training, and taking women on hiking adventures close to home and all over the world for almost 12 years now. But alongside that, we've seen some dramatic and incredible transformations of women who feel stronger, more capable, and more confident in every aspect of their life just through getting involved in hiking, whether they've gone places far away or close to home. So that is what we do, and that is who I am. And so every Monday I go hiking, and today was a doozy. It was the same, literally the same as what I do every Monday, different trails, but same time, same location, roughly same duration. But it was hot. Summer has arrived. And afterwards, I was feeling really quite woozy. I was wondering on the way home whether I would actually have to stop and pull over. I drank plenty of water out there. I had plenty to eat today as well. But I think a combination of the heat all of a sudden and I don't know what it was, but very different. So what it also tells me is that I know that training in the heat is not everyone's cup of tea. But I say this, if you can train in the heat, you can hike anywhere in the world because you can always cool down. It's very hard to warm up. You can always take layers. If you can hike in the heat, you can hike anywhere in the world. So you can always warm yourself up. So cooling down is not a hard thing. But, I know that there's certain places, plants getting close, isn't it? Certain places and spaces where people choose not to hike in those summer months and then wonder why it's so difficult when they go to places that aren't the same temperature, why it is so difficult to hike. So just a bit of background on my morning here. So hello, Lynn from Benora Point. Hello, Jelena from Brisbane. We're on a flight tomorrow night to Morocco for our magical Morocco fitness adventure. And hold on to your hat for our photographs and our experiences and our hiking. It is going to be phenomenal to the point you will wish you were with us, but you can't be. So the next best seat is the virtual ride we will take you on, the virtual journey. Hello, Sandra. Hello, Meg. Nice to have you here. And hello, Christine as well. So I went to yoga on Sundays. So when I have Sundays off, I try and go to yoga. And I went to the normal yoga, where you do your sun salutations and stuff. And then I stayed for the restorative yoga. And, today's session is about smothering or suffocation and about how sometimes we can be our own saboteurs in terms of what we need to do to sometimes get out of our own way, or what we're doing to put things in our own way so that we don't have to and maybe choose to stay where we are instead of moving forward. So in the restorative yoga, it is literally, and I for one, am someone who does need to slow down a little bit, not slow down as in, stop what I'm doing, but take things out of their life, because I have for the last, I don't know, how old am I? 59, maybe for the last, I don't know, since I was an adult, at uni, probably just layered things upon layer upon layer upon layer and not taken things out. So as I'm lying there in the restorative yoga, and you've got to not hold a pose, it's not a pose, you've got to just lie in a certain position for about 20 minutes, which will release will help the nervous system and get the vagus nerve doing what it's supposed to do. And the vagus nerve is what connects the brain to the gut. And as some of you know, over the past several years, I've been dealing with some gut management issues, and my gastroenterologist, neurologist, how smart is that woman, says that it is this gut-brain reaction that we need to focus on. So the restorative yoga was putting us all into this wonderful space. But she reads a poem, and I'm lying there listening to the poem thinking, this is amazing. This is what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to read you out the poem. It's by a lady called Judy Brown, who is, if some of you have heard of her, then please let me know. But she speaks in the space of leadership and personal development, and it's called Fire. So I'm just going to look this way so I can read it. So it's called Fire by Judy Brown, and it's, what makes a fire burn is space between the logs, a breathing space. Too much of a good thing, too many logs packed in too tight can douse the flames almost as surely as a pail of water would. So building fires requires attention to the spaces in between, as much as to the wood. When we are able to build open spaces in the same way we have learned to pile on the logs, then we can come to see how it is fuel and the absence of the fuel together that make the fire possible. We only need to lay a log lightly from time to time. A fire grows simply because the space is there, with openings in which the flame that knows just how it wants to burn can find its way. So Jelena says, I have done this poem as a meditation, and it absolutely is. And if you think about that metaphor, and it can be the same metaphor as putting rocks into a jar, putting the big rocks in first and letting the other things find a way. But if we keep layering things, she's a poet and leadership educator. If we keep layering the things in our lives, keep overstacking things, then how can we make space, or how do we find space, or how does the flow of what we want to do find the way to bring us joy for the things we want to do? And I know many of you watching have, since I have known you, have put these wonderful things in place that you do, like a ritual every Saturday or every Tuesday or whatever it might be, that gives you that space, that gives you that freedom. So you've taken off some logs to find space. And I do hear stories all the time from women mainly, because we generally nurture and care and put everyone else first, that I can't find the time. I don't know where the time is, or I don't know what I want, or I don't know who I am, because we've been so busy doing stuff for others that if we don't make our own plans, others and time will make the plans for us. And it's the same with when we've been doing so many things for so many people. It's, how do we know? We've just layered so many logs on. How do we really know who we are? So there's sometimes in our life when we have transitions where we get to have space to think about where that next pivot or movement might be, but they might come regularly or they might not come at all. So we don't have to wait for those, though, to think about ways to find space to bring us joy. And sometimes, our lives get so overstacked with commitments. Give a busy person a job, with administration. Goodness me, everything now takes so long with technology that was meant to speed up our lives. There's, rightly so, 2-factor for this and 5-factor and 10-factor, and now I've got to do this and I've got to check that. It's like, oh my goodness, which takes so much more time than it ever did. And there's worry, which takes time and takes energy, and then this whole gut, brain, vagus nerve thing gets going, and often excuses as well, because we can use these layers, this smothering, these logs or rocks stacked on where we can't find a way through, as an excuse to stay in the place that we are. I don't have time for that, or I'll do that next week, but next week never comes. And sometimes we can get stuck in a place that the branches might be there to take us, to help us out of that space to somewhere else we want to go. But we're so comfortable in that space. We've spoken of that story to ourselves so many times that, I'm not going to change. I'm not going to do that. I'm comfy here, even though I might want to be over there. I'm comfy here. I'm just going to let that smother and let something else take that opportunity to make the choices for me. So just like the fire, or just like a river, needs a path to flow on, so too does our hiking journey. We all need space. And we talk about this when we give a training plan for our multi-day hiking, when we do our 100-kilometre hiking program, which is a 6-month monthly meeting, and when we do the Couch to Mountain, we bake in space for all of the training, because when we embark on our hiking journey, we're very excited, like any hobby. It's new, it's exciting. There's lots of things to search and people to talk to and things to buy and all sorts of things. But there's also training to do as well. But what we don't want is for our training to be all-consuming and think that we don't have any other space in our life. So just like the poem, when we embark on our hiking journey or want to step up our hiking journey, we need to still allow space in our life for us to grow and the hiking to find its pathway in our world, whatever that might be. So there's time to train, there's time to prepare, there's time for gear, there's time to benchmark and see where we're at with all of that. And then we need space to recover. We don't always have to be pushing, and a lot of the growth comes in the recovery. A lot of when we do our trail fit training, when we do our step fit training, when we do our interval training on hills, even when we're out hiking and you come up a hill and you get to the top and you let your breath recover, that is a pause. That is a space to recover where we're not always pushing, and that growth happens, that heart rate recovery happens in the stop bit. And then we go again and the heart rate comes down again. It happens, the growth happens in the pauses as well. So we don't always have to be pushing, because when we push all the time, we get to fatigue level. And when we get to fatigue level, we can either minimize, well, we don't minimize, we can, be at risk of falling or hurting ourselves, injuring ourselves, or making decisions that aren't in our best interests, making decisions around safety or compromising some of the decisions that we wouldn't normally do when we're fatigued. So we need that space, but we also need space to slow down and notice the joy. Hiking isn't always about ticking off as many kilometers every week. Hiking is about finding the joy in every single kilometer we do. And I was chatting with one of our suppliers this week about an adventure coming along, and he said, oh no, I think we should take that out. It's not adding to the adventure in any way. And I said, no, I don't think you should. And my word rules, because we design the adventures for us, not the other way around, is that there's joy to be found in almost every single trail, unless, there's a couple of trails we think there's no point in doing that. That's just a back end farm fire trail that does not add any benefit. But finding joy along a trail, finding plants, finding bird life, finding sections of trail, finding connection, finding laughter, that space to notice that and space to enjoy it. It's not military style to finish the hike. It's sometimes safety where we need to, move along at a lesser pace, but a faster pace. But generally, being out on the trail is finding that space to enjoy ourselves, make those connections, the laughter, the scenery, the views, the small little minutiae. Sometimes those who are at the front going really fast miss some of the detail. So, in terms of the fire and the poem, sometimes we actually let ourselves be smothered, though, because we feel safe in that smothered space. I've got so much going on, I can't possibly do that. I'll do it later. I'm too busy. I'm not fit enough. But really, if we looked closely enough, I don't have any friends is another one I hear quite often. I don't have anyone to do it with. I don't know what you're talking about. I want to be last. We've smothered ourselves, not with literally tasks and things. We've smothered ourselves with worry as well. So what we encourage each other to do inside our community, and if you're not inside our community, this may sound strange to you, but everyone inside our community is in a way encouraging everybody else to lift the logs, to take some of the logs off. And that could be through a conversation of come hiking with me, or how are you preparing for your multi-day hike, or do you know about this piece of equipment, are there to lighten the logs, to take some of the logs off so that they can help you find the joy, even if it's in conversation around something heavy that might be going on in your life. It's how to lift some of the logs out so that you can find that oxygen to then find your path to hiking and the things that bring you joy. So checking in with everyone. Hello, if you've just arrived. Brod says, and Brod is always out hiking in her wonderful location. I definitely find joy in my carefully chosen trails and hikes. There is always something to appreciate. Absolutely there is. And the very fact that we are out and we are moving are fantastic things, because someone pointed this out to me the other day. We were sitting around, and maybe it was online, I'm not sure where we were, and they said, you think it's normal that it was that, you know, we're all out there, women of this broad age, hiking, and people go, oh, look at these ladies coming along, well done you. We think it's normal that we're out there doing it because we are surrounded by others doing it. But to the general population, it is not normal. It is not normal for women over 40 to be out there with backpacks and on the trail. It is not normal. So I'm not sure where I was going with that, but I wanted to make sure that I put that in. So getting back to the fire and the logs is that each and every person in our community and each and everything that we do will help create space for you to find that joy, to find the thing, whether it's getting the skills to do your own version of hikes in your own location, or getting the skills to take, you know, on one of our multi-day hikes, or your very own multi-day hike somewhere close to home or around the world. It is creating those openings and letting your spark, your joy come to life through lifting those logs. And it's easy to, I have people on the trail stop me all the time and who aren't connected to us and say, well, I've signed up for this and I'm really worried about this. I don't know how to do this. What does that mean? And then we know roughly 40% of people that sign on to, not with us, but sign on to a multi-day hike will never make it. For various reasons. And one of those reasons is that they just start smothering themselves with worry because they don't have enough information, they don't have enough content, they don't have a clear path forward. They've literally bought into something much bigger than they can chew and have laid those logs on and haven't found a way through. So when we teach you, take you, train you, and potentially take you, we make sure that everyone has enough oxygen to be, metaphorically, to be successful on the trail. So I'm going to just pivot and talk about something else in a moment, but I want you to think about this week, are there areas in your life where you are smothering yourself, where you're putting out your own fire? Or are there situations where you realize that you were doing that? And I know there's a couple of you watching who have literally done that. You've gone, oh, this is not working for me, and I'm going to find this way, and you've done that, and it's been so wonderful to see. But have a think about that. Are you smothering or self-sabotaging by layering things on you that really don't belong to you? Or is that a safe, comfy space that prevents you from doing the things that you really want to do? So I challenge you to think about that this week. And if you want to put some comments in here, that would be great as well. I'll share the poem because I think the poem is fabulous. And the more you think about the poem, it would have been great to have that one for high school English. The other thing I'm going to do a pivot now is talk about stair training and why stair training works in so many different areas. So we do Step Fit training on a Tuesday live inside our community. And if you haven't attended that, you might want to after this, or watch the on-demand ones. So when we do stair training, and we recommend that in every single one of our training plans, is that it's cardio first and foremost. And no matter how many stairs you do, unless it's one or two, but if you do it faster, and how often you do stairs, you will still get out of breath, because you are literally, stairs are taking out the gradient of a hill, and they're doing it in a much, I'm not an engineer here, I'm not a surveyor, geologist, whatever they might be, surveyor. So it's actually making that gradient much, much steeper, but you're having to lift your legs. So stairs going up will really focus on cardio, one of the fastest ways to boost your cardio. And you should always get puffed going upstairs. If you don't get puffed going upstairs, you need to go faster up those stairs. But the other thing that going upstairs does is it trains us to lift our feet. So what we want to do is actually get our glute muscle, our butt muscle engaged to lift the foot, not our quad. Because when our quad, the front of our leg, gets heavy and gets tired, it's going to revert to our lower limbs, the shin and the calf muscle, to do the lifting. And when that gets tired, it just relies on the foot. And then that becomes really hard. So we want the glute to be engaged to train to be the lifter of the feet going on stairs. So when you think about stairs, again, think about being really focused on, I'm going to get out of breath. That's the intention of going up the stairs. And even if those stairs are at work, and even if there's 4 stairs in your house, wherever it might be, the intention of the stairs is to get out of breath, because getting out of breath will be really good for my training. But the second intention of the stairs going up is me practicing lifting my legs with my center of control being my glute, really switching on your glutes. And how do you know if your glutes are switched on? We do this in the Trail Fit training. Stand with your feet apart, pushing hip width apart, pushing heavily down into the ground. Pretend there's a piece of paper between the two. Try and pull that piece of paper apart with your feet, and you will feel your glutes switched on. That is the movement that's the feeling we want when we start to go upstairs, that the glutes are on. So when we come down the stairs, one of the things there's several things we really want to focus on coming downstairs, is that our knees, our toes, our knees and hips are all pointing in the same direction. That's what we want. We also want, ideally, to not have to hold the handrail for balance, because we want our balance to be strong. But if you're just starting out with, I need to improve my ability going downstairs, then holding onto the rail might be a good thing. But what we're looking for when we go downstairs is no pain in our knees. And I was chatting today with someone who said it's going downhill that really hurts their knees, and it not related to an injury or anything like that. And it's really that the muscles need to be trained. So when we do exercise, when we feel sore the next day, it just means that the muscles that are sore are ones that haven't been used for a while. And it's feedback to the body that there's a reason we have every single muscle group in our body, and those muscles need to be used. But if they're not being used, then they just get lazy and switch off. So when you feel sore, it's because we've used a muscle that we wouldn't normally have used. And that's great feedback, because some of those muscles that we can't see, the little ones we can't see, are the ones that can be the game changers for us. So when we're going upstairs or downstairs, really focus on what the foot is trying to do. So we're trying to focus on lifting our feet from our glutes as we go up, and then trying to keep this alignment as we go downstairs as well. And just a hint for those who do get sore knees, I see lots of women who on the uphill or the downhill choose not to use their poles. They'll just use them randomly. Poles on the uphill, the latest research is, and I think I spoke about this a few weeks ago, that if you are powering through the hands, not pulling yourself up, but pushing back and powering, then you are taking a lot of that effort a lot of that load out of your legs as you go uphill. So, or out of your knees as you go uphill. So remember, there's a force that comes through the knees. For every extra kilo that we're carrying, that force comes through our knees. So just be wary of that. I'm just going to read your question out loud, Christine. I'm still struggling with stepping up on a step higher than about 15 centimeters. However, I have been doing what I call toe taps, lifting my foot to a height of about 45 centimeters and tapping the seat. Is that beneficial, or I'm just wasting my time? So no exercise is a waste of time. So let's just make that clear. Every bit of movement we can do is a really good thing. And we were talking today that maybe in 20 years' time, are we all going to be moving the same? We don't know, but we're giving it a red hot go now to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a great position. So what you would be doing there is some hip mobility, which is fantastic. So if anyone is struggling stepping up on a step higher than about 15 centimeters, then I would challenge you to, because what we want to do is make our legs strong, and the stronger our legs are, it means that we're able to step up higher. So if you can step up to a 30 centimeter step, but you're really having to like drag that back leg up, then really the front leg is not strong enough. So if a 15 centimeter step works for you, then and is working for you, then I would encourage you to maybe grab 500 ml water bottle in each hand and start to change your center of gravity. So either hold them beside you, so automatically you've added a kilo on, or put them on here, and that changes your center of gravity, and just do single leg step ups for a little while. So I'm not back at Trail Fit training for a couple of weeks, but I'll show, remind me when I get back from Morocco to show that as a demonstration as well, because I think that's really important one. So great question, Christine, and you can also talk to Jane about that one as well. So I'll just stop that. So that's it from me for this week. If you have any comments around the poem, which I'll share, or you have any comments on anything that I've spoken about tonight, please add it in here and I'll be happily answer that. I also may not be online next Monday at 5, but I will do some lives as we go on our Magical Morocco fitness adventure. As I said, be prepared for an amazing virtual ride if you're not with us for the next couple of weeks, because it is going to be fantastic. So thank you for being here. And yeah, love to hear your comments about the poem and anything else. And I will catch you from over there over the next 2 weeks. So thanks, and I'll see you then. Bye.